You're listening to Fast Facts, Ask the Expert with Tom Viola. Listeners, welcome to this episode of Fast Facts, Ask the Expert, joined today by Tom Viola. Tom, welcome.
Andrew, thank you so much for the opportunity. You know, I love being here with you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. We love having you. This is going to be a silly one, though. I don't know. Maybe it's not silly. Maybe just because it's the name of the drug that I want to talk about. But magic mushrooms, right? I think, the reason why I'm bringing this up very specifically, because I feel like, and I could completely have the wrong drug here, but I feel like Oregon did some things recently where they're opening up clinics where they're using psilocybin. Is that what it's called?
Correct. Yeah.
So they're using that as part of some drug therapy programs to help people get over whether it's PTSD or some other things. Again, completely could have the wrong drug, but let me know everything there is to know about the magic mushroom.
Yeah, I've often ordered chicken masala just for this reason. I thought maybe the mushrooms would have some effect on me, but no, I ended up getting fatter and I don't end up getting any of the effects I was looking for. You know, because I'm pointing this out because not every mushroom is a mushroom, right? So, you know, magic mushrooms, as they're called, are a specific type of mushroom, the psilocybin mushrooms, from which we get psilocybin and psilocin, which is actually the active alkaloid that causes the hallucinogenic effects. A lot of people are onto this because a lot of people want to microdose. I would never tell anybody what to do. You know, you live your life. And that way I'm a libertarian. Live and let live. You know, you want to use mushrooms, go ahead and use it. But there's been a lot of talk about why this magic mushrooms and the active ingredients for magic mushrooms should be legalized. They should be descheduled because they have a lot of fantastic uses. And I believe it because there's so much I don't know that I don't know about the off-label uses or the newly invented uses of these substances. A lot like ketamine. I mean, until, the tragic death of Matthew Perry, a lot of us didn't know that ketamine was used beyond for depression, like in clinical settings, but can be used for all sorts of other maladies. So same thing with psilocybin. A lot of people believe that they microdose with it. It's easy to dose. They can ingest the mushrooms directly, which some people do. They can brew it up as a tea, and that makes it easier to conceal. They can add it to foods because it does have a bit of a bitter taste, so they can add it to other foods. The side effects are things like nausea and vomiting, sometimes muscle weakness or a lack of concentration. But I think it has to do more with the fact that it is indeed mind altering. It is a hallucinogen, so it can cause hallucinations, although some people believe that it's in those very hallucinations that they see a new way of thinking, a new pathway that they didn't see before, a new perspective on life that they didn't have before. Sometimes people have an inability to discern fantasy from reality. And in some cases, that can cause panic reactions and even episodes of psychosis that were well, long buried that have now come back from the past. So all I can say is I know a little bit about it. I do know that magic mushrooms have been around for a long, long time. I would say that I'd be leery of people who brew teas because you can make that tea extra concentrated. And I think if you're going to microdose with these things, again, live and let live, but be wary that the effects may be greater than what you think. And be careful because you just can't go pick mushrooms. Mushrooms can be toxic if you pick the wrong one. So, again, my advice is buy from a somewhat reputable supplier if you know the people who are using them themselves, and go low and go slow because you may not be happy with the outcome ultimately. Even though the same mushroom and the same supply of mushrooms can be used by someone else. You try the same one, same quantity, and you get a completely different outcome. That's both disheartening and at the same time maddening for some folks because they wanted that effect. Be wary because you may not get it, and be wary that sometimes people exaggerate to get you to use more mushrooms so they can sell you more. Just saying, just throwing it out.
It's interesting though, because it sounds like you're probably not going to have a patient like present in the chair tripping on mushrooms. Like that's because it sounds like it's a bigger event kind of a situation as opposed to maybe being a little bit high or being a little bit drunk or something like that. Is that accurate or is that wrong?
No, I thought that too. And then I realized that people do microdose. They make a tea or they make an elixir and they put a drop or two under their tongue throughout the day. So they're not technically, out of it completely. They're not completely off from reality. But it does, from what I've been told, enhances their perception of reality at that moment, makes life more enjoyable, makes life more, less mundane and more interesting. I don't know. I've never tried it. I don't know anything about it in that respect, but I do know there's more people that use these mushrooms and psilocybin than I thought originally, or was led to believe so.
Wow. This is fascinating. So if you ever do use it, make sure you come back on so you can tell the listeners all about it. But also, if anyone had any questions for you specifically about this or any other topics, how can they find you?
Anytime they want to reach out, they can at tomviola.com or anywhere on social media at Pharmacology Declassified. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Fast Facts Ask the Expert. If you have a topic you'd like one of our experts to answer, simply email me, Andrew at ataleoftoahygienist.com, and we will get it on the air as soon as possible. Thanks for listening.